As soon as businesses or companies start recruiting workers, they would have to pay a certain amount of money. They would have to incur different costs because they have to recruit these workers. So what are the kind of costs they have to incur? This is what we need to talk about today. So here I go. At each stage of recruitment process, the business will incur costs. The following are different costs that the business will incur. The first one, recruitment and selection costs. So when we talk about recruitment and selection costs, we're talking about the cost the business will incur during the process of recruiting the workers. So the human resources department will incur costs when identifying the number and type of staff needed to fill the vacant position. So what we're talking about is this. The human resources department is saddled with the responsibility of recruiting workers. In the course of recruiting those workers, they have to identify one, the number of workers needed, and two, the kind of workers they need. In the course of doing this, it might take time and it might cost them a lot of money. That is the human resources department. Two, administrative costs. When we talk about administrative costs, here I go. Administrative costs will be incurred when updating and checking job description and person specifications. For job description, it means the responsibilities that the person taking that job will have to go through. The function of that position, that is job specification, job description, and then we talk about the person specification. We're talking about the characteristic the person that is taking that job has to possess, the features of that person, the qualification of that person. So finding all these things, trying to identify all these things, it's also another cost for the business. Then for the company, the third one, time will be spent when sorting and handling application. Sometimes applicants would have forwarded their application letter to the company. So a lot of application letters would have been received by the company. So in the course of sorting them out, to find those ones that are going to be called for interview, it will take time. So time is being consumed, especially when you have to sort out for applicants or application letters. The fourth one, the interviewing process may be quite expensive, as the senior staff or interviewer might need to be paid. During the interview process, the business has to pay the interviewers. The interviewers are mostly the senior member of the organization. So they have to be paid for carrying out or for partaking in that program or setting. The fifth one. After the interview, the performance of the interviewee will have to be evaluated. This could add to the cost, as there must be feedback to both successful and unsuccessful candidates. As soon as the interview is done, the interviewer would have to evaluate all the interviewees. So in the course of evaluating the interviewees, cost will be incurred, which means additional cost to the business. How is cost going to be incurred during that process? One, they have to call all successful candidates that, you are successful, then you can have your employment letter, or you are finally employed to our organization. And those that are not successful, they have to give them feedback that they are not successful and they should try the next time. In the cost of doing this, it's also a cost. Then the last one, sometimes the new recruits may negotiate for a better pay or benefits, which will add up to the cost. As soon as the potential employees are employed, they might want to negotiate for a better benefit or a better pay. This will add up. If it is accepted, it will add up to the cost of the business. Then we go to training costs. For training costs, these are costs that the business has to incur. They are inevitable, especially when they are recruiting new workers. So what are we talking about here? Costs can be so high that businesses may feel reluctant to invest on training. However, training must be part of the recruitment process, especially if it is external or newly recruited members. So training costs is something that is inevitable within the organization. When you are employing a new member into the organization or new employees into the organization, you have to train them on how the company is working. You have to train them on the operations of the company. So businesses might not want to do this because training is expensive, especially when it comes to off-the-job training. For off-the-job training, the business has to pay companies that are going to take charge of that training. Even if we're talking about the internal that's on-the-job training, it also incurs cost. So in the course of training members or newly recruited workers, the business will incur cost in terms of if it is either off-the-job training or on-the-job training. Remember off-the-job training, this is the training that takes place outside of the business, and on-the-job training, this is the job that takes, or the training that takes place within the business or the premises of the business. So what are the examples of training costs? One, training costs and resources. Businesses will have to pay trainees. The materials that will be used for training, the equipment that will be used for training, these are all expenses. So the business might need to buy new equipment, the business might need to buy different materials that the new workers will need to use, which means more expenses for the business, which is also a cost. Two, loss of output. For loss of output, we're talking about off-the-job training. So look at what I wrote here. If workers are involved in off-the-job training, they will not be producing anything. They will be paid for doing nothing. That means they are being trained, yes, but they are being trained outside of the company, which means they are not going to be effective. They are not going to be productive at that period of time. So the company will be paying them for the training. The company will be paying for them not producing anything. So that means productivity will be less for the company. And the last one, employees leaving. During the recruitment process, it is frustrating and it is alarming because businesses might be losing their workers to competitors, and this is what they wouldn't want to do. So here I wrote, businesses may be frustrated, especially when employees leave for rival companies. So if we have to, as a company, we have to recruit new workers, it means we are recruiting them because an individual or an employee has left the organization, and the employee might be leaving the organization to go to